Hello everybody and welcome to the Sovereign Village Project. My line has been crossed. I've struggled for many months since the beginning of this tyrannical takeover of our nation and of the globe. I've struggled with what should my course of action be, what is the right thing to do in the face of the removal of our rights. I've struggled over it, I've prayed, I've read the Bible, I've read much history and studied past incidents and tried to think about what my course of action would be, but it's been very hard. But I knew that I had a line which would make the entire debate in my mind irrelevant. And that line is if the government forced medical interventions into people's bodies using violence. That just occurred. The federal, I'm not going to call them government, they're not the government, but the current administration has stated that all employers under over 100 employees must vaccinate their employees. And if they do not comply, the state will fine them. So if you don't pay the fine, if you're not willing to comply, what are they going to do? Well, they'll enforce the fine the way they enforce all fines. They'll send police to arrest you. And if you don't want to go get locked up in a cage where you could be held down and potentially forced vaccinated at some point, well, they're going to kill you because that's what cops do. That's how they enforce the law. If you don't obey and you don't comply with the arrest, they're going to kill you. So let's make no mistake. This vaccine is being forced into people's bodies with violence. That violates virtually every part of the Bill of Rights. Therefore, the current administration and the entirety of what is calling itself the federal government is in fact not the federal government. Regardless of how you feel about the Constitution, I don't like it, I'm an anarchist, but regardless of how you feel, that is the commonly accepted law of the land. Therefore, because the federal government is in violation of it, and they are not legitimate representatives of government or of law. They're just brigands. They're just criminals who happen to have the power right now, fragile power. If you're a Christian and you struggle with that verse about obeying government, that's fine. That's not relevant to this discussion because this is not the government. Governments behave by the Constitution or they are not government anymore. Guess who's the government now? Anybody that believes in the government. I don't, but if you believe in government and you believe in the Constitution, you are now the person in charge of enforcing it because the Constitution is a contract and there's a negotiating table. On one side is one legal party, that's the government. On the other side is you. They're breaking the contract and then their lawyers, the Supreme Court, is saying, we're not breaking the contract. If you were having a negotiation for any kind of contract, would you listen to the other side's lawyers? No, they're not on your side. The Supreme Court's not on your side. They're on the government side. They're the other guy's lawyers. You're your lawyer. You're your representative. You're the enforcer of the Constitution, nobody else. And it is time to enforce it. While I don't believe in the Constitution, it's a useful rallying cry because we were all able pretty well to live under an accurate interpretation of it. And it's such a clear way to point out the illegitimacy of this government. Regardless of what happened during the election, none of that's relevant. The point is, this is not government. They're not abiding by their own law. They're not representatives of law or of morality. They're just representatives of their own interests and of the interests of pharmaceutical corporations and every other corporate crony person that they are allied with. They're just a big, giant criminal organization. So what is our course of action? It cannot be nothing. We are not going to outrun this. We're not going to out-hide this. We can't out-self-sufficiency it. We can't out-garden it. They are going to come. These laws will keep happening. These mandates are not laws, but they'll keep happening. There'll be smaller employers. It'll be in schools. It'll be happening to your family. They will hold people down and force this vaccine into their bodies. They're clearly demonstrating that they're going to use violence to force this medical intervention into people's bodies. So, I'm not going to tolerate that. I, as a man, cannot allow that to happen to anybody within my sphere of influence. And I'm not going to wait until I'm in the camp or they're sending my family off to get this forced into them. I'm not going to wait until this gets harder to fight. I'm going to act now because my line has been crossed and I consider it immoral and unchristian to not respond when people are getting hurt by bullies. So, my course of action is this. I'm going to be attending the next county commission meeting here in my county. And I'm going to be asking the county commissioners to make our county a medical autonomy sanctuary. I think it's quite likely that they will because we're already a Second Amendment sanctuary, meaning that the federal government or that our local government will not work with or enforce any federal laws or law enforcement that are infringing on Second Amendment liberties. So we have already broken with the federal government. In essence, we're already in rebellion against this. Well, it's not rebellion because it's a criminal organization, but we are already refusing to comply with them. So it's not a big step. But I'm going to ask the council to do that, but I'm also going to let them know that I and my like-minded neighbors, if they do not stop working with the federal government anytime they are interfering with our constitutional rights, that we are going to arrest anybody who aids and abets in the removal of our constitutional liberties, meaning we will enforce the Constitution. This is not a rebellion. This is not a revolution. It's us saying, if you do not enforce the Constitution, we will. We'll abide. We'll allow government to exist for now, because I don't think enough people understand how evil government is. But we'll say, fine, let's for now all agree to abide by this Constitution, but we're going to enforce it if you're not capable of enforcing it. And if you are actually on the other side and you're helping in the removal of our liberties, well then you are also a criminal, and we will arrest you, we will indict you, we will arrest you, and we will bring you to trial before the people, before a jury of your peers in this community. And I will not be saying that idly. I do not say these words idly. I know the cost, but I'm not going to cower in fear and wait for the inevitable end of my liberty to come. I would much rather be standing up strong and tall if I lose, and I don't think we have to lose. I think just a few of us standing up is going to be enough to stop this and turn the tide. I don't think we have any option. Whether or not this is the end times or whatever people believe, it's said that there is a war, and there's going to be a war against us. It doesn't matter what you believe. If you believe the war is happening, it's already been declared on you. They're already stripping you of your rights, and they're going to hurt you, and they're going to enslave you and potentially kill you and take everything you own. So you have nothing to lose. There's absolutely nothing to lose. And don't think that if you comply or just hide good enough that you'll be protected. That's not true. That's a false Western understanding of Christianity, and it's wrong. Go ask anybody in Afghanistan who's a Christian right now as they're being tortured, raped, beheaded, and murdered and having everything taken from them. Their compliance or their quietness or their meekness is not protecting them. Now, there is a time and a place to be meek, and we also must be wise and intelligent. That's why I'm not going off half-cocked and targeting some federal building or doing something stupid. Instead, I'm going to act as an upright citizen in my community, and I'm going to say we will be enforcing the Constitution. Either the politicians that are in our community will enforce the Constitution, or they will be removed, and the men of the community will remove them, and we will enforce the law. Just a few men in a rural county can do that. It's a big wooded place. Everybody knows each other. Everyone knows where each other live. We can stop this tyranny right now at the rural county level. And that's going to happen, or I will die. That's it. I'm not going any further. I'm not allowing this to happen to my community. I'm going to stand up and take whatever consequences occur, and I'm going to do my best to prevent the enforcement of tyranny, totalitarianism, or any kind of common criminal action in my county. I would encourage you to do the same. Take off work, make any sacrifice necessary to attend the next meeting with as many people as you can rally behind you, and inform them that you will not tolerate this and that they are not going to tolerate it either, or they will be subject to arrest, and that you will enforce that arrest with your Second Amendment right. It's that time, guys. It's that time. I don't see any alternative. I don't see any escape. I don't think... Look at... When you know enough about the military and Predator drones and heat signatures and stuff, you realize how difficult or impossible it is going to be to hide. We're not going to hide from the enforcement of anything. We have to stop the system that is doing the bad things. We have to stop it. That's our only hope. So let's go out and let's stop it at any cost, because it matters how you stand.